gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop, from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. And everybody, tonight on the show, we have a wrestler from the independent scene. He has traveled all over the United States. He currently is one half of the WCEW Tag Team Champions with Kurt Sterling. He is the Carolina Classic. He is the godfather of the industry. Welcome to this HPWP, Sean Cruz. How you doing, my guy?
Hey, brother, I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show. I just appreciate your time. Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast fans, they'll either see it now or they'll see it back up on YouTube later on. So I appreciate you coming out and sharing your story. So if we could get started, one of the things I always start off with is, as a kid growing up, or even still an adult, what is Sean Cruz like as a fan?
As a fan,
yeah.
Man, honestly, like if it's entertaining, I'll watch it. Like I'm not a big deathmatch guy. I used to be really against it. I was one of those guys that's like, oh, these guys don't know how to work. But even deathmatch, when it's done right, can be entertaining. Everything has a place, and as long as there's fans for it, I mean, hey, go ahead and do it. I'm not going to do it. It's not my cup of tea, brother. I just turned 43 years old. You know, I'm no, thank you. But yeah, as a fan, man, I just like to be entertained. I like to be surprised too. I think wrestling as a whole, especially the main products on TV, over the years, not so much now maybe, but over the years kind of got a little predictable. And maybe that's just because I'm inside the business. So,
Right.
you know, I kind of can, you know, and I actually do some agenting at School of Morton and some booking some storylines and stuff like that in Tennessee. Shout out
Right.
to School of Morton. So to have, looking at it for that, hey, what's up, Rick? So to have that mindset going in, watching the shows, it's kind of frustrating. Like watching it as a fan when I was a kid before I got into it, like a teenager, it was more exciting. Well, plus we didn't have the dirt sheets. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have everybody spoiling everything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it was exciting then, but now it's like between the stuff getting spoiled and being around the business so long that I can see most storylines and payoffs coming a mile away. I like to be surprised, man. You know?
Yeah. So growing up, who are some of your favorites?
Oh wow. I guess originally when I was a kid, you know, it was Hogan and Warrior and those guys. I was a big Warrior fan. I mean, as a kid, who wouldn't be? You know, he was like a walking comic book character. Absolutely. In a way. As I got older, of course, into the 90s, Shawn Michaels. It was always Shawn Michaels for me. Just everything about him. He was everything that I wasn't. You know what I mean? He was the ladies' man, the pretty boy. He was athletic. He was talented. And I was none of those things. So I always looked at Shawn Michaels as like the guy I aspired to be.
Okay.
Also, and then actually when I decided I was going to get into wrestling or I could have a chance, because I'm not a very big guy. I walk around right now like 185. I'm 5'8". You know, when I saw guys like Dean Malenko, Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Jericho, Psychosis, all those guys with the, it was like 96, 97, maybe when WCW brought him in the Cruiserweight division. That's when I was like, okay, well, maybe I got a shot at this. You know, I never had the dream growing up. I was never that kid that was like, oh, I want to be a wrestler. Like it was just never a possibility for me, I guess. Okay. Until I saw those guys and it was like, okay, well, maybe I got a shot.
Okay. So is there a specific match that you fell in love with when you, if I ask you what your favorite match was?
Oh, my favorite match of all time is WrestleMania 12, Bret, Shawn, Iron Man. Yeah. It just, to me, I'm obviously with the gimmick, you know, I do the classic Carolina classic old school style wrestling. And to me, it didn't get better than that because they blended both so well. You know, the story they told with, you know, Bret with his, you know, technical background, and then Shawn could wrestle too, but you knew Shawn was going to fly around and do all the flashy stuff, and it was beautiful. Other than that, man, I really enjoyed Jericho and Shawn Michaels
Okay.
at WrestleMania. Kurt and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, like basically anything Shawn's ever done. But
Okay.
I will say this. I don't know if this question is going to come up, but my favorite wrestler of all time, who I think is the best of all time overall, Chris Jericho. And that's only because he has reinvented himself so many times,
Yeah.
and he's always on top every single time.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great example because, you see him still at his age, still going hard at AEW.
Yes, sir.
And you watch this stuff from back when Jericho was in WWE, WCW, and now he like you said, he changes with the decades, with the years, and he's still that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you a spot guy or are you a moment guy?
Oh man, I think both have their place, but it's like Ricky Morton always says, they're not going to remember what you say or what you do, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. And I think that is the most important thing when it comes to wrestling. It's not about the spots. I mean, the spots work, but you have to know where to put them. You can't do them just for the sake of doing them. I guess the moment guy. I mean, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I got my first taste of indie wrestling back 2 years ago in Panama City with Extreme Impact Wrestling, XIW. Shout out to Adrian Whisper and them. Great promotion, man. If you want to get down to the Florida Panhandle area, I would highly recommend. I'd highly recommend you send a video of something to Adrian Whisper. He's on Facebook. John Sachs is another guy that's down there with Damian Wayne, who knows you.
Yeah, I know Damian.
He's messaged me on Facebook. He said, "Tell that guy hi."
Awesome. What's up, Damian?
So, but the realistic feel that you get when you step into an indie wrestling show. I mean, you're right there, and you guys do some things that I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God!" But it's moments and it's memories, and this XIW runs every other month. You want to go back, and that's what I love about indie wrestling is you guys put on a show, and you guys put your heart out. So I mean, that's crazy. So I applaud you guys for doing that.
No, thank you. We appreciate the support. Without fans, without our supporters, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Like I literally, finally, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and for 3 weeks now, I'm a full-time independent wrestler. This is how I pay my bills. Yeah, that's why I'm wrestling with the torn AC joint right now. It's because I can't take time off.
So you took a chance and you said, "I'm done. I want to be a wrestler."
My awesome, amazing girlfriend right now, who's also makes gear. She makes T-shirts, like merchandise. If any guys out there are looking for something, we've got a Facebook page. It's called Keeping Tabs on it. We'd love to do some business with you. But between that and just doing 4 or 5 shows a week now, usually, it pays the bills, and I'm blessed, man.
Well, I will say this: I do reach out to people that and they help me with some stuff. And you said it. You got a very good compliment, and your girlfriend did it. The compliment is, I've watched him through the hardest times of his life and the best of times. He has a supportive girlfriend that is wonderful and travels with him. So people recognize that, and she needs to know that how important she is. And I know that I don't have a doubt in my mind that you let her know how important she is. So
every single day, absolutely.
Yes, and it takes that, because my wife and I, if it wasn't for my wife helping me do this foster care, I don't think I'd be doing it. So.
Oh yeah, and I was previously married for almost 15 years. I've only been divorced for a few months, and I didn't have the support that I do now, and it's a world of difference. It really is.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, man, you're as a fan, you're growing up, you're this kid, you're doing this wrestling stuff. What clicked in your mind and said, "I want to be a wrestler, and I need to go find a school"?
Well, so man, it was just me and some buddies. We just kind of started it up, our own little deal. I'm going to use that taboo word, backyard. We built a ring in my backyard. We did backyard wrestling. We didn't do the light tubes and the crazy stuff. We just did what we saw on TV, and we picked it up pretty quick. We were safe. We didn't hurt each other. And a local promoter saw us out there in my backyard one night. We would like do flyers, and people would come over and watch us. And so, he saw a crowd, and so he come and asked us if he wanted to do a show. And of course, we're like, yeah. So we went out, we did his show. There was like 5 people in the crowd. We did 2 or 3 other shows. We decided, being young and brash and stupid, that we were going to do our own thing. So we ran our own company. It was called CCWF, and we had 6 shows, and we never lost money. We drew like 200 people on average. Wow. But we had no idea what we were doing. And so then we had an altercation with some guys at a show one night that didn't like the fact that they didn't think we respected what they did and went through what they did to earn that right. And I absolutely agree with that now. But we didn't know any better,
Right.
They say if you knew better, you do better, and we didn't. So we just decided, to be done with it. And a couple of the other guys that I was in it with moved away. And I got a phone call one day from the guy who ended up training me, Tracy Gilbert, and he got my number from somebody and said, "Hey, I'm going to be running your territory. I just wanted to let you know, give you a courtesy phone call," which I thought was cool. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I was like, "Yeah, sure, man, whatever. Do what you want to do." And he invited us to the show. We started hanging out with him, and him and a guy named Tony James, who's big in the Carolinas, runs his own company now, Next Level Professional Wrestling. Definitely check them out. Just kind of took us under their wings, man, and just trained us. It was me, the Dawson brothers, which are a huge tag team here in the Carolinas, especially in AML Wrestling, which is the biggest company, of course, in our state. Guy named Daniel Messina, Charlie Dreamer. They're no longer in the business, but I mean, yeah, he just took some kids that loved the business and had a dream, and started training us. And I've said it before, and he knows. I mean, I love him to death. He's like my best friend in the world. But if I could do anything different, I would have went to like a George South or Ricky Morton or a Tracy Smothers at the time when he was still alive, and anybody like that to get that formal training and have that name to push me, because that goes a long way. I'm not saying the guys that go to these schools aren't talented in their own right. But if you've got Ricky Morton or George South saying, "Hey, this kid's one of my kids, he's great, give him a shot," you're more likely to get that WWE tryout or that AEW dark spot. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just truth. Right. That's the only thing, because my road in this business has been hard, and a lot of it's my fault. A lot of it was heat I brought on myself because I didn't know any better, or I had people trying to tell me better, and I just didn't listen. Because when you're young and stupid, you don't listen, and you're doing things for the wrong reasons, and you get an ego, you get this cockiness about you. I mean, I'm seeing it now with the kids growing up. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have on the indies right now. And not everybody. I don't pigeonhole people like that. I'm not saying everybody, but there are people that don't respect the people who came before them, and they're not. These guys don't even ask the vets to like watch their matches. I'm not just talking about me, just like an indie guy. I'm talking about when we got, names that are there. I was on a show recently in AJ Kazana, which of course, is in the NWA with his brother, Kirk. Yeah. He was on a show with us, and nobody asked him to watch their match. Like, are you kidding me? The guy is on TV. Like 30,000 people a week or whatever are seeing him. Like, people just don't take advantage of opportunities. They think they can do it on their own.
Absolutely. I know a guy, I was at River City WrestleCon in St. Augustine, Florida in June. And one of the coolest things, because I always ask this question, how important are the legends and the vets in the back? And should the up and comers listen to what they have to say? And the answer was straight out. It was so cool because I had Austin Aries at my table, and a kid just got done wrestling Sean Legacy. He'll be on the show on Wednesday. Okay. And he comes in, and Tuesday night he'll be on the show. And he comes in and he asked me if it's okay to talk to Austin. I said, "Yeah, I have who am I to say you can't talk to Austin?" And I just listened to this kid asking Austin Aries, "Did you watch my match? What'd you see? Could I improve?" And just to watch the kid just take every moment in. And I was like, that is a true independent wrestler that knows what he's doing, because he's seeking for advice. He doesn't want to just be here. He wants to be here. So,
and there's a lot of guys like it. Unfortunately, that's the minority. Most of these guys are content to be big fish in a small pond. They want to be, small town heroes. And they know deep down they're not good enough. They're not good as their buddies that are gassing them up are saying they are. But if they go to one of these guys like Austin Aries or an AJ Kazana or Ricky Morton or anybody like that, they're going to get exposed. You know what I mean? They're not going to get the, oh, brother, that was a great match. They're going to get the truth.
Yeah.
And they can't take it sometimes. A lot of these guys can't.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So Rick says, seen you work a great match with Bobby Yella recently, and I believe you have another one coming up. Is that correct?
Yes, I do actually. I believe it's August the 3rd in Grundy, Virginia. I believe we're supposed to have a match. Which now that was before my injury with the shoulder, and I think we've changed some things up in APW based on that. I was supposed to have my television title going into that match, and I actually lost it Friday night, in Fayetteville, West Virginia at a brewery show. So I'm not sure what the plan on that is moving forward, but anytime I get a chance to get in the ring with Bobby, I'm going to take it. I said it before and I'll say it again. He's one of the most underrated wrestlers I've ever been in the ring with.
Awesome, man. And so is there like a beef between you two? I mean, is the storyline, is that pretty basic or?
No, I mean, like I said, prior to this injury, I mean, we were watching each other's backs. Like we were both, babies. And we've had two matches in APW, just competitive contests that were both a lot of fun. And it's just easy to work with Bobby. I'm not one of those guys. I can spot. Oh, that's awesome, Rick. Yeah, you'll love Bobby. He's fantastic. I can spot all day if you want me to. I mean, I can't remember things. I'm a little older. I can't remember things like I used to sometimes, but I can spot. We can call something out and we can go, or we can get in the ring and we can walk and talk. I personally prefer to walk and talk. It's less pressure. It's easier, and the crowd reacts better. Because if we put together a match and we go out in this 15-minute match and we start doing all these spots and it's like a Southern, NWA territory crowd and they're just sitting back like this, are we going to keep doing the spots and boring them to death, or are we going to switch it up?
Right.
Absolutely.
So do you remember your first match and what was that like?
Oh, absolutely. So the guy I was telling you about that I actually went to high school with, his name's Daniel Messina. He wrestled as Dr. Love. He actually reunited with us in WCEW. Me and Chet took on the Dawson brothers in Rockingham, North Carolina, and Buff Bagwell was in their corner, and we have Daniel Messina in ours. It was amazing. I actually got spray painted NWO by Buff and the Dawsons.
Nice.
So that was you talk about moments. That was a big one for me. That was
Absolutely.
But so it was me and Daniel, and it was a hardcore match. And like I said, there were 5 people in the crowd. 3 of them came with us. And I mean, I'm sure it was horrible. I'm sure looking back, if I was to watch it, it's probably got zero psychology, and we were no-selling everything and just hitting each other with stuff. But for kids, man, I was like 18, about to be 19 at the time, and like it doesn't get better than that,
Right. No.
But yeah, I do remember that was my very first match, and then my first match after getting officially trained was against Tracy Gilbert, my trainer, and he spoon fed me the whole thing. I just listened, and that's the biggest thing, man. Like you've got to be able to listen and not listen to respond, but listen to understand. And when you're in that ring, you better listen, because if you're in the ring with the wrong one and you don't listen, you're gonna have a long night. Or a short night, depending on how you look at it.
Yep. So, do you have any, what would you consider your highlights of your wrestling career so far? If there had to be a couple that stick out as my highlight of your.
Well, number one, and I'll say it, I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Victor Andrews. Well, actually, he wrestles as Roosevelt now. Okay. One of my best friends. He's been in the business for, I think, 13 or 14 years. He's done tryouts, he's done Ring of Honor, he's been on TV, he's done all of it. And it was a few months back this year, a 60-minute Ironman match, and it was empty arena. It was just me and him and cameras. There's a podcast that he co-hosts called the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast, and we streamed it on there. And we went 60 minutes straight in a hot. I mean, it was probably 100 degrees in that building. Wow. And I've never. It was literally like a spiritual thing. It was like an exorcism for me, because he knows about my past and the things I've been through and the things that have held me back, and my self-doubt and things of that nature. And literally, if you watch that match, like we used that in the match. Like it got really emotional, and we didn't, none of it. We literally just stepped in the ring and said, we're going to do this. And we called the whole thing for 60 minutes. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done physically. Like, I don't know how I kept getting up off that mat, because there was several times I was done, and he wasn't going to let me be done. So I'll shoot you that link if you want me to. That's
absolutely, 100%.
Hands down, the best thing I've ever done in my entire career. Other than that, wrestling in front of 5,000 people in Charlotte at a beer and taco festival once. Okay. That was pretty cool.
Is that the one with James Ellsworth in it? Was he there?
No, this one, I think this was the first one they did, and this guy didn't do it after that, but it was mostly just a bunch of indie guys. Okay. It was cool because they had a concert going on, so Coolio was there. And, of course, I grew up on Coolio. And a band that's pretty popular called Judah. Is it Judah and the Lion, I think? Okay. Yeah, so they were there. That was pretty cool. And, of course, Dorton Arena a few years back. There's a company called FWE that runs in the Raleigh area, and they booked Dorton Arena. And I was in the Rumble in front of 1,200 people in one of the most famous, especially in this state, arenas in wrestling history. So that meant a lot to me. And then Victor, once again, there's a company out of Virginia called MATW. They're setting the world on fire right now. They are amazing.
What is it called?
MATW, Mid-Atlantic Territory Wrestling. Okay. Yep, it's run by Preston Quinn, who tags with C.W. Anderson. They're called the Extreme Horsemen. Just phenomenal. I mean, if you like old school wrestling, but like the production is like top notch. So their very first show, it was me and Victor Andrews starting the show out. So the very first match on MATW was me and him, and we stepped out into an arena of like 800 people, and they were so loud it sounded like 8,000. That was a huge moment for me, and that also came at a time when I was dealing with personal stuff. And it seems like any moment in my wrestling career, Victor's kind of been the guy to be there for me and push me. And the funny thing is that we used to absolutely hate each other. I mean, almost go to blows, hate each other. And it was just all over misunderstanding, miscommunication. He said, she said, just like everything else in the wrestling business or the sport, all the drama that goes along with it. And I saw him at a show one day. I just walked up to him and hugged him and buried it. And was like, whatever's in the past is in the past. And it's just been amazing since then. He just got back from Germany, and he's supposed to be going to England at the end of the month. And then when he comes back, we're supposed to go over to like Germany and some places with him. So I'm excited about that. I've never been out of the country. I've never been on a plane. Like, I mean, I told you that earlier when I'd messaged you, and I've put it on every podcast that I've been on this year. If a promoter will fly me in to wrestle on your show, I'll wrestle for free. That's how big of a goal that is for me. Because I'm 43 years old, man. I've never been on a plane before. And I promise you, I'll give you and your fans every bit of their money's worth.
That's right. So Adrian Whisper, I don't know if you're going to listen to this later on or not.
I have an Adrian Whisper story. I don't know if he wants me to tell this, and he might. So when I first started in my career, he was down at the company the guy that was training me was running. And we did a show, I want to say it was in Roseboro, North Carolina, and they did a spot where he got on a basketball goal, the very top, like on the rim, and dove off onto like 8 guys. It was insane. And
Whisper did that?
Yes, Adrian Whisper did that.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Wow.
Ask him about it. I'm sure he remembers it.
I will. I'll ask him. I'm going to have to write that down. Jumping off a
basketball goal. There's like, I think it was like maybe 6 to 8 guys. It was this big multi-man deal they were doing. Wow. And that was I was like 19-year-old kid seeing that. I was like, wow. I've done my share of stupid stuff too. Oh my, have I ever?
You need to get a hold of him because they have a $5,000 bounty on Damian Wayne's head to get him out of wrestling. So
Brother, let me tell you something. I've known Damien for a while, and yeah, there you go. Boom, John Thundercloud. That was it. Trey G's show. Yeah, John Thundercloud. He broke John broke his ankle. Yeah, but no, I guess I've known Damien for a long time, and nothing but respect. He's one of the realest guys. I love watching him work. I was there when he won the NWA title, when it was him, Lance Erickson, and Chance Prophet. The only time we have ever touched each other in a ring was on that same. It wasn't the same show, but it was the same company. Because he was a big baby there, and we were the heels, and we hit the ring to beat him down and do a run in, and he ended up hitting me in the mouth with a drop kick. He was wearing his Jordans, so if I'm not mistaken. That's the only contact we've ever had. We've never been in a Rumble together. We've been on so many shows together. I would love to come down to Florida and work with Damien, because we both I know he does that real fight shit. That's me all day. Like, I'm hard hitting in your face. Like, I lay my stuff in. I know he lays his stuff in safely, of course. And I think we would put on a phenomenal show.
I don't see if you see this chair right here. This is This is from my you see this dent, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know whose head that is, but that was my first XIW show. Damien was there. I can't remember who all was there, but there was a lot of those chair shots all night long, and I mean, that was real fight shit stuff. And yeah.
Oh no, you want, to me, when Damien was at his best, not that he's not great now, but him and Sean Denny, the matches they put on over the years, dear God, watch some of those. Right. I mean, like I said, as a young guy coming up in the business, watching guys like that go at it, it's like, that's what I want to do right there. That's the kind of stuff I want to do.
I mean, yeah, John Sachs and Adrian Whisper. I don't know if you're going to watch this later, but I think we need to get Sean Cruz down here to the XIW arena. So I don't know, but so as a veteran in the business, is there any advice you give guys wanting to break into the business or are a year or two in the business?
I get asked that a lot, and it kind of varies. I mean, I think the number one thing you have to do is be honest with yourself.
Okay.
Do you belong in this business? Not necessarily in the business, but do you belong in the ring as a wrestler? Because I know it's everybody says pro wrestling's for everybody, and we're in this era in society where everybody's got to be included in everything. But I'm sorry, that's not the way it is. It's not the way it should be. I shouldn't have to worry if the guy across from me is physically able to pick me up and slam me and keep me safe, because he doesn't go to a gym, or he doesn't watch tape. He doesn't know how to actually wrestle. There's so many guys that are untrained that get put in the ring, well, mainly in states like North Carolina, because there's no commission. There's no licenses. There's no any of that. And be honest with yourself. Like, do you belong here? I don't know any other sport. Like, if I wanted to go try to play baseball for the New York Yankees, I couldn't just show up and say, hey, guys, I'm going to start taking some swings. I'm on the team. You know what I mean? Like, look, we need referees. We need, like, trained officials, because I'm telling you, you want to destroy a match in a heartbeat, put a referee in there that don't know what he's doing. Put a referee in there that doesn't know how to keep time. Put a referee in there that is going to be in the way all the time. Like, I'm telling you, managers, we need good managers on the indies. There's a handful, but man, we need Paul Heymans. We need Classy Freddie Blasties. We need these old school, like, get some heat guys, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities in the wrestling industry. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in the ring. So just be honest with yourself. Like, if you saw yourself on a wrestling poster, would you pay $20, $15, whatever dollars to go see you wrestle? Okay. That's the way I look at it. And that's nothing against anybody personally. I've not always been the biggest guy. When I got in wrestling, I was $130, bro. They used to throw me around like a lawn dart, you know? But over the years, have put on some weight, size. I studied my tape. About year 5, I got serious about the wrestling business.
Okay.
And that's one thing that I regret too, is when I was coming up, there was guys legends. When I say legends, I'm talking Ricky and Robert, Midnight, Bobby and Dennis, Bill Eadie, Larry Zabisco, Kamala, Abdullah the Butcher, you name it, Stan Lane, everybody. We would do these Legends events with ACPW, which was Tracy Gilbert's company. And those were the guys we were around almost every weekend. George South, which I love George to death. I still see him on quite a regular basis. And I wish that I would have really sat under the learning tree with those guys and really absorbed that information, instead of just being this cocky, arrogant kid that developed this bad reputation because of my ego and I was hard to work with.
Right.
Which I was a Shawn Michaels fan, so maybe that's why.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the thing too, man. Listen, take advantage of every piece of advice given to you, especially from the guys that have actually drew money in this business and been places. Like, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you speak. And if a vet comes up to you and they're telling you something and you just don't believe it or it's outdated or whatever, don't yeah but them. Don't be like whatever old timer. Like, I've seen some really disrespectful stuff. All you have to say is, "Thank you, sir. I appreciate the advice," whether you use it or not.
Right.
Just be courteous, show respect. And not only that, show respect to everybody in the building.
Right.
The janitor, the person taking the tickets, the lady getting the costumes and the outfits when we take them off in the ring. Everybody, man.
Right. Absolutely.
Not just the guy that you think if you kiss his ass that you're gonna get a spot or you're gonna get a title. Like, forget that. Oh, and for the love of God, going over does not mean you're over. You know what I'm saying? Like, these kids these days. I'm not gonna say all. Once again, I don't pigeonhole people. I don't want people together. But some of them, man, they just think it's real. They don't understand that. I know I've lost 100 times more matches than I've won, especially as a heel. But if I do my job, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? I want that babyface to go out there intermission and make all the money he can.
Yep.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm a very unselfish worker. I'm an unselfish entertainer, whatever. Promote whatever the promoter needs. As long as it makes sense and we're telling a story, I'm good. So yeah, I mean, just be honest with yourself. What is the reason you're getting in this sport? And is this something long term? Like me, if you get an injury like this, are you going to keep going? If you're sick one day when you wake up, you got a cold or you got a whatever, are you going to just call the promoter and cancel on him? No, this business is not cut out for everybody. And that's the biggest problem, is there's so many people in it that I personally feel don't belong inside of a wrestling ring.
Gotcha. Absolutely. So you mentioned old school feel, and I know you're in the Carolinas. Do you ever get over to like Mid-State or Herb Simmons, SICW or SCW up there in St. Louis?
I have not, but I actually just did the podcast where they were talking about Herb Simmons a lot, and we're friends on Facebook now. I would love to. Like, I would love to go to some of the more old school promotions and go up north and go out west. And I think as far out west as I've been is Illinois. Me and Victor Andrews went out there and wrestled for Destination 6. That was a great experience. I want to get down to Florida. I wrestled some in Georgia in the past, some in South Carolina. But as far as like, I want to go to Jersey. I want to go to New York. Like, I just want to entertain people, man. Like, wrestling saved my life. And I just want to give back. Like, wrestling owes me nothing. I owe everything to professional wrestling.
I'm going to get to Rick's comment in a minute. Fan interactions. I get it. From what you just already said, you answered that question. The fans are very important. If the fans aren't happy, there's no show, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you hit on something briefly, but I'm going to ask you this question. When it comes to brotherhood and paying your dues, that's got to be important to you wrestlers in the business, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, so to me, a lot of guys will say, the first few years you pay your dues. I don't think you ever stop. Like I said, wrestling owes me nothing.
Right.
And every chance I get, like if I can show up early and help out, I will. If I can stay late and help out, I will. I'll put out chairs. I'll put the ring up. Also, personally, I like having a hand in putting the ring up because then I can see how safe it is.
Yeah.
You know, I can see if there's any boards that look wonky or what the padding's like or any of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like putting my safety in somebody else's hands if I can help it.
Absolutely.
But shout out to all the ring crews. Shout outs to all the promoters who actually have ring crews so we don't have to rely on the wrestlers showing up. Because a lot of guys, man, they don't do that. They'll be like, pay me to wrestle, I'll wrestle. Pay me to put up a ring, I'll put up a ring. And I get it. I get both sides of it. But me, I have no problem. Even with my shoulder like this, I was in Marmot, West Virginia Saturday night. And after the show, I was out there helping them tear the ring down.
Wow.
That's just me personally. I'm not asking for flowers or like a pat on the
Right.
back. That's just me. That's just what I do.
Absolutely. So I told you earlier on before we talked over the week. I do foster care, and my kids have questions they want to ask you.
Okay.
It's just basic. Yeah, you'll get it. And it's basic questions. So everybody wants to know what your favorite food is.
My favorite food. Oh man. Anything with protein in it. I try to get as much protein as possible. I'm really big. I like Italian food. Man, I don't know. It's to me, it's hard to beat a good Japanese, whether it's takeout or like hibachi where they cook it in front of you.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to go with that.
Okay. If you have to have a pizza, do you put pineapple on it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite TV show?
Oh, wow. That's tough because I watch a lot of them. I guess right now it would be House of the Dragon, the spinoff of Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Yep. You have a favorite movie?
Well, I guess I should say The Godfather because of the current gimmick I'm doing. I do love the mobster and gangster movies though.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies outside of wrestling?
Honestly, I used to. I used to be big into gaming. I've still got a PS4, but I just honestly between being on the road all the time, you know what? My number one hobby is keeping my girlfriend happy.
Okay.
I guess that would be it.
Favorite sports team?
Oh, easy. Hold on. Yankees, baby.
I'm a Tiger fan, so.
At least you're not an Astros fan or a Red Sox fan.
Thank God, no. Quick story about Detroit Tigers and New York Yankees. I went to see my first spring training game this last spring. The Yankees beat the Tigers 21-2. So that was kind of painful.
Wow.
That was painful.
Spring training.
Yeah. Mount Rushmore of wrestlers.
Oh, this is a tough one. Okay, are we talking founding fathers, Mount Rushmore, or just to me personally?
Yours
my
personal.
Most influential.
Your personal.
My personal. Okay. Shawn and Jericho have to be up there. 100%. I guess you'd have to have Flair. And I'm gonna throw a curveball out here because I think he's the best heel of all time, Roddy Piper.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. So I'm gonna get to Rick's question, and I like this question because I've had this guy on my podcast. Great guy. Seen him at the convention. So his question is, I want to know about your battle with Cuban Assassin this weekend.
Oh man, that was wild because going into that, which I tore my CV or AC joint last Sunday, so I wrestled Thursday night for APW because we do our weekly television tapings. Which if you love old school wrestling, you're anywhere in the West Virginia area, go to those, man. It's like Georgia Championship Wrestling 1983. It's beautiful. So I did that match and I was okay. So I said, okay, we'll go ahead and do the match with Cuban. And we ended up turning it into a I Quit match.
Okay.
So it was really good. The fans seemed to be into it. We told a good story. Of course, he attacked my arm. Why wouldn't he? Because I got this giant brace on it.
Right.
He brought his little tool out to use this. He stabbed me in the arm. It was bleeding, like running all down my arm. My girlfriend, that's the best part about it. She was ringside with me for the first time because she had my towel, and he had his manager, Bronco Barnett, with a towel. And she she knocked it out of the park. She did everything she needed to do. She was emotionally like it was. So many people came up to her after that and was like, "That was phenomenal." So hopefully it'll be up. I believe they're getting it edited now, and they're going to post it to Rumble. Hopefully this week, and I'll definitely post it and I'll shoot you a link so you can check it out.
Awesome, absolutely. So some people want to know, why does classic not go out of style?
Because it's classic, brother. It's. I mean, you can do all the flips and the Canadian destroyers you want to, but if I put you in a headlock and I squeeze your head like a pimple till it pops, you can't fly around. You know, if I ground you with good old style wrestling, you can't fly. So yeah, it never goes out of style because I can adapt to any style of yours.
So that classic be your signature move then?
Well, so it's funny because my signature move is actually it's a leapfrog into a Fameaster. I call it the Magic Eraser because of the bald head.
Okay.
I get called Mr. Clean a lot. So my buddy down at School of Morton, EC Dangerously, dubbed it the Magic Eraser. So it's a little flashy for a guy who has a classic wrestling background. But I also think it takes you by surprise. You know what I mean? But other than that, I'm just smash mouth in your face, forearms, grabbing you rough, throwing you up against the turnbuckle, chops. That's me. Like a cross between Benoit and Malenko.
Okay.
That's the way Dean Malenko is a huge influence of mine, and I aspire one day to be as technical as he was. But we're not there yet. But I'm working on it.
Now, would you say, talk about nowadays wrestlers, Chad Gable, would you say he's a good technical wrestler?
Chad Gable is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal athlete. I really like what they've done now with the heel turn, and he's becoming a star, and he should, rightfully. I absolutely think he could be a good technical wrestler. He is. But he's also able to adapt to that new WWE style, which is what makes him so popular and such a draw.
Okay. So just not to stay on the WWE too much, but are you excited for the WWE to go onto Netflix so they can become more risque, raw, if you would?
So I'm excited, but I'm also concerned. So I'm excited because when I was watching wrestling right at the end of the 90s, that was, to me, the best time ever in wrestling. That was my golden era. That was the Attitude Era, and then you had the Nitro stuff with the Black and White Sting and the Wolfpack and Hogan and all that. And that's, if they can bring that kind of feel back, like the stuff they did with DX and The Rock and Foley and all that kind of stuff, that'd be great. But I'm concerned with the world we live in now, that everybody wants to cancel everybody. Everybody gets offended over something. Everybody gets butthurt over something. And there's going to be people that push back against it. But they did back then too, if you remember. But everybody loved it back then. Like when I was a kid and I was in school, like everybody was wearing like Austin 316 shirts and DX shirts, and it was everybody, not just wrestling fans.
Right.
And now it's not like that. It's back to, people know who WWE is, but to me, it's still not as like, it had that like rock concert feel. Go back and watch the wrestling from the 90s. And the crowds were so loud, the announcers had to like almost yell to be heard. But now Michael Cole sounds like he's commentating a golf match sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Honestly. And that's not a knock on WWE or anybody. Like I'm not that guy. I'm not going to trash stuff and say, old wrestling's the best. But I mean, facts are facts.
Right. No, I agree. I got back into wrestling when Hogan came down in Daytona Beach, dropped the leg on the Macho Man, and became NWO. And I'm like, that to me was amazing stuff.
Well, it's a moment. You talked about moments earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no bigger moment in wrestling history, in my opinion. When I think moments, I think that one, and I think the barbershop.
Yes.
Or even before barbershop, Piper's Pit with Snuka with the coconut. Like that's the kind of stuff I think about. Austin 316 means I just whipped your ass. King of the Ring, Jake the Snake Roberts. Like that's what I think about.
I think when you mentioned we need managers, I love Paul Heyman. He's great. I mean, he's amazing. I mean, but we're missing the stuff like the Mr. Fuji's, the Classy Freddy, the ones that have
Sherry Martel, when she was with
Absolutely.
Shawn Michaels, my God.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes. So, a question we have is, does that hat you wear stay on during matches?
Let me guess where that one came from. It's a guy named Chase Bennett.
Maybe.
No, it does not. I take it off when I go to business because that's what a Godfather does.
So where all have you watched? The same guy says, where all have you wrestled this week? And so plug the promotions that you wrestled with this week.
So Thursday night we were in Beckley or Bradley area, West Virginia, for APW, American Professional Wrestling, run by Joe Brody. Love it. Super old school, man. If you're an old school fan, definitely watch that product. And then Friday, we were the same promotion, but we were at a brewery show, Bridge Brew Works. Awesome place. Go check it out if you're in the area. We did a outdoor show, started like 9 o'clock. And then Saturday, we went to Marmot, West Virginia for my first time at Mega Pro Wrestling. We were in a tournament called Claim to Fame. So it was like an 8-man tournament, and I actually wrestled Chase Bennett in the first round. And he beat me with the old crossbody roll through. You know, he got me. He snuck one in on me. And then today I was actually here in North Carolina down in Lumberton, and we did for the Best Damn Wrestling podcast, we've been doing this thing called a Hyperdrive tournament. A lot of fun there, and today was the finals, and I wrestled a guy named Caden Pierre, and we both eliminated each other. But yeah, I'll shoot you a link on that too if you want me to.
Awesome.
That's some really cool revolutionary stuff they're doing with that.
Awesome. So gonna get to Rick here real quick. Rick wants to know, who would you say is the best commentator today?
Today, man. I think the funniest one, the one that entertains me the most, is what's his name? Pat
McAfee.
Yeah, Pat McAfee, dude. He's hilarious. The stuff that he says.
He's gold.
Yeah, he is. Jeez. I don't know. I mean, to me, it doesn't get better than like good old JR. When Jim Ross and Jerry King Lawler were doing the commentary together, they were perfect. The one-liners that Lawler used to throw out, like I remember one time he said Bret Hart's mom went to an antique store and they kept her. Dude, I died. Like, that's the stuff that's funny to me. But as far as today, I'll be honest, like, I don't really watch the product like that to really have a educated answer on that. I guess Pat McAfee.
Okay. Because my favorite all-time wrestler is Sting, so I love Tony Schiavone.
Oh, of course, Tony was. It's Sting. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so we're going to ask more about the Cuban assassin. Why this question? I have no idea. Does the Cuban assassin's cargo pants, in fact, look musty?
So I know where that one came from. So I got on the mic Friday night at the show to make the I Quit match because he attacked me that Thursday night, ran me into the post where my shoulder was already hurt. He made it personal. So I was like, if you've got any balls in those musty ass cargo pants that you wear, then you'll accept my I Quit match challenge. That's where that came from. Nice. But no, I don't know. I never really got close enough to smell them or even wanted to.
So if there's anybody you wanted to wrestle today, who would be your dream match today?
Oh my God! So I know he's signed with the AEW now. I think still. I guess I don't keep checking the product, but so I have left the wrestling business on a couple of occasions. Well, okay, that's a bit of a understatement. About 6 for personal reasons, mostly to do with my previous relationship. Once due to injury. Long story short, I was out of wrestling. We went to Universal Studios in Florida when TNA was doing the tapings there. We showed up, sat down to watch wrestling. The first time I watched wrestling in forever. And the first person who comes walking out is Mike Bennett when he was doing the Miracle.
Okay.
And I watched him work, and I absolutely fell in love with him. So I started following him on socials and saw not only was he a tremendous talent in the ring, but he's a great human being outside of it, and all the struggles he's been through, and like how motivational he is. And I would love to challenge myself against Mike Bennett. So if there's any promoters out there that want to bring Mike Bennett in, I'm your guy. Like, I would absolutely love that.
Awesome. So, fun facts about Sean Cruz. You can respond. Chuck Norris is afraid of Sean Cruz.
I don't know about that. Maybe.
Shark Week is week dedicated to Sean Cruz.
I you know what though? When I smell blood, I go in for the kill. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Sean Cruz is life of the party that he doesn't attend.
What's that?
You're the life of the party that you don't attend.
Not anymore. My partying days are over, man.
And Sean Cruz actually taught Abe Lincoln the choke slam.
That's true. That's actually true.
Okay. Right. So I got some video clips that I want to share that we can after we watch them. We'll talk about them.
Okay.
And let's talk about this one first. This was cool.
The word family gets thrown around a lot in this sport. And for years, I searched for a family. Finally, I found one. The industry. See, the industry is more than just a faction. The industry is more than just a group. We are family. This red rose symbolizes love, adoration, admiration. The black rose, well, the black rose means you've crossed the family. I am the godfather of the industry. My name is the Carolina Classic, Sean Cruz. And when it comes to family, there's only one side.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Love it.
The industry, family.
Yes, right here. Boom. If you see it or not.
Without getting a shirt like that, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's got the we're shocking the industry.
Is that Pro Wrestling Tees?
No, we make them ourselves. Like I said, my girlfriend, we make our own merch.
All right, I'll have to talk to you after the show.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So tell us about the family. Tell us about the industry.
Man, so this kind of honestly kind of came out of the blue one day. I was literally on break at my job that I worked at the time at a gym, and I got a message from Scott Elliott, who is basically creative over School of Morton in Chuckey, Tennessee. And he said, "Hey, I got this idea," and he put us in a group. It's me, a guy named Sleazy Sean Carson, who was trained there at School of Morton. He's been in it for a few years. Sam Street, who was trained by Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man, in Charlottesville, Virginia. And Maya Ferrari, who also trains at School of Morton, but she just right now is doing like manager and valet stuff. She's looking into possibly getting into working some matches. But yeah, it's unique because a lot of groups only usually have like one female. Well, we have two. We have one who wrestles and one who's just like, the manager, like a cross between a Miss Elizabeth and a Sherry. That's kind of how we look at her. And honestly, it's crazy because we're already getting this huge buzz and we have not done much of anything. Like we literally at the Paul Morton Cup, which was of course named after Ricky's dad. They do it every year. It's this big rumble match, and whoever wins, gets the trophy and the title or whatever. And so at the Paul Morton Cup is where we formed the industry, and it involved Sam Street in a match with Sean Carson, where Sam Street was a big baby at the time. So going into that match, it's what we call a hybrid championship, which means any style, male, female, whatever. And so it was Sam versus Sean, and we did the finger poke of doom. And she laid down, Sean pinned her, then Maya came out, and then they called me out, which was a huge shock. And we just put this thing together, and our whole goal is to make everybody better around us. Like literally, like we want to come into every promotion and just build whoever it is up. Like, we're not being selfish. This ain't about championship runs or going down in history. It's just about making the business better than we found it.
The thing is, when you say that statement, I think about the guy we talked about earlier, Chris Jericho.
Absolutely.
I always say that guy can wrestle a mop and make it look good. And it's not about the championship for him. I mean, AJ Styles the same way. I mean, he doesn't care. I mean, he wants to be able to put the talent over that is coming up, and because he knows that sooner or later they're going to be done. And if we want professional wrestling to go on, we need to do that type of stuff. So I applaud you guys for that.
Well, yeah, and it's so many of these guys are like, oh, we used to have gatekeepers in wrestling, and somebody ought to do this, and somebody ought to teach these guys. And me personally, I just got tired of hearing it. So I was like, why not me? I mean, I don't know everything. I haven't been anywhere, but I know what works and what doesn't, and I know how we should be conducting ourselves as professionals, and what works in the ring and what doesn't. So anybody that wants to get any advice, I'm willing to teach you anything.
Awesome.
But I'm also not going to go out of my way. If I try to help you and I can tell you don't want to hear it, cool.
Yep. Now this next clip I have, I believe it shows the industry in action, I think.
We got 4. Let's get this war started.
So that was the industry out of the ring, I believe?
So, well, it was myself and my Ferrari. So the story with that was that's Ring Wars Carolina. They're a big company here in North Carolina, and they've been around for quite a while. Eddie Brown, Nice Stick Eddie Brown, who was trained by Steve Carino. He was actually in ECW too. He's the guy who runs that school and company. And they partnered with School of Morton, and we basically did this invasion angle. We spent the 2 weeks prior absolutely ripping each other apart on social media. And my whole thing is I love to blur the lines of reality. If you come to me or you inbox me and you're asking me, and these are other wrestlers in the business now. I can't tell you how many I had message me and be like, "Hey man, is this legit? Is this for real?" Or I've done my job. If I make you question whether or not I really don't like this person or we really have problems with them, I've done my job. And I'm a monster heel. I'm not want to put myself over. But there's one thing I can do is piss your crowd off. That's why you bring me in. That's what you do. Bring me in. I will piss them off, and you can have that baby face bump me all around that building to make them cheer. That's my role in wrestling is to get my ass whipped. But
awesome.
As far as that goes, yeah, that was just me and Ferrari. But we were put with Blade Gibson, Santiago. And I forget who the other guy was. There was 5 of us. It was 5-on-5. It was Team RWC versus Team SOM. But that show, actually, we almost started a riot. We had one girl come across the rail and try to cut one of our girls, and another one threw water all over another one.
Oh, wow.
That's what we bring. That's what the industry does. We bring old school heat. Like, I want that Roddy Piper, Classy Freddie Blassie getting stabbed heat. That's what I want. I'm sorry.
If that's what you bring. I want to see you down here in Panama City Beach.
I would love to. Absolutely love to.
I would love to do that.
Bring just me, bring the whole crew. Like, we'll make it work, man. I love to entertain people and I love to perform.
I'll have to get a hold of Adrian Whisper and tell him to reach out to you, man. Because
absolutely, I love to. I haven't talked to him forever. That would be great.
Awesome, man. So we are up to our hour. I'm going to give you the mic, and then I'm going to close the show. After I close the show and play some exit music, don't go anywhere. I'd like to ask you a couple of things off camera.
Okay.
So, Huge Pop Wrestling podcast fans, people that are going to watch this later on, we've had a joy to talk to Sean Cruz. It's been a pleasure to pick your brain and hear your stories. So I'm going to let you close the show, and after you're done, I'll hit the music, and then we'll talk afterwards. So, Huge Pop Wrestling podcast, my boy Sean Cruz. Go ahead.
Man, I just want to say thank you for having me on, man, and thank all the professional wrestling fans, people who support us out there. Like, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you like to be entertained, give wrestling a chance, man. If you've never been to a wrestling show, if your buddy, your mom, your dad, get them to a live wrestling event, and I promise you, we'll send them home happy and entertained. And that's the main reason I still do at 43 years old what I'm doing. Is the world is not a very good place. I mean, not getting political, but look what happened yesterday. Yep. You know, whether you which side of the fence you're on doesn't matter. A man could have potentially lost his life. One man did, defending his child, which I mean, as a father myself of a 10-year-old girl, like that's amazing. But stuff like that happens every day, and there's stuff you don't even know about. And there's everybody's, you know, financially burdened, and they're spiritually burdened, and all these problems. So on the weekends, if they can come to a show that I'm on, and I can make them forget about their problems for the 5 to 10 to 15, 20, whatever, how many minutes I'm in the ring. Yeah. Pour that into me as a heel. Yell at me. Say to me what you can't say to your spouse or your kids or your boss or whoever. Like, yell at me. Get all that negative energy out towards me. You know, cleanse yourself and then go home, recharge, refresh, and handle your business. And if I can make you do that, and I can make you forget just how bad this world can be sometimes, I've done my job, and that's it.
Awesome, man. So you hit it right on the head, Sean. You know, wrestling fans, check Sean Cruz out. He's a Carolina Classic. He is the godfather of the industry. He hit it right on the head. If you need to get away from real life activity and get I call it self-care. You call it whatever you want. Pro wrestling helps me do that. So I thank you, Sean Cruz, for coming on the show and providing an hour of getting away from reality. But again, it's Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast, and we're for life, guys.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house.
Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level. Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army. They got the tanks and everything. He's leaving bruises and stitches, possibly leaving you crippled, cause when he sets up the table and sends you straight through the middle. Take sadistic free, beat that ass with a light bulb. Leave a piece of glass embedded in the back of your skull. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming,